Beautiful, beautiful brothers and sisters. I am Geeia, your Ariati, and I'm of sound heart and sound mind. Just going to give my shower hair a little bit of a touch up and wait for a few people to join. This is a very, very unique and informative transmission in relation to a technology that is highly affecting beings in their shift in vibrational frequency. It is a technology that has gone unwitnessed by many and only becomes aware in the forefront of the being when the nervous system and the frequency of an individual being is rising so high that there is some interesting sounds that make themselves known. So if you have not tuned into one of my lives before, I am of sound heart and sound mind, and I am the assigned oracle for the 144. This is just a name, a label that allows for me to share my wisdoms as a conduit, a high priestess. I work in quantum energetics and assisting individuals with trauma therapy, as well as bringing in high frequencies of information from advanced dimensional expressions of consciousness. I'm here to be a truth speaker and to be in full devotion to the law of one and God's law in bringing I was going to say enslavement. That was weird. Bringing bringing sovereignty back to the human race. So we're just going to take a few deep breaths when you do receive any of my transmissions, because you're receiving beyond the word that is spoken. You may feel activations. You may feel trembles when I sing or when I use light language, which is not as often in these transmissions anymore, but I do it to clear the energy field if there's any disruptions, if my channel's being affected by an outside source or some form of projection through mind or judgments even. If someone has strong judgments, sometimes if they're a very powerful being, it can affect my energetic vibrational expression of receiving. So miata yando okuyandiana, we're just going to ask to cleanse, clear, and purify all devices. Mi ishatakariandiano okuyandiana yasatakari ashatakuyandiana. And all technologies that are in this transmission that are connected through the World Wide Web, through any EMFs, radiation, dayatotokoyana, electromagnetic fields, sarayandotokoyandayatandiani, shuotokoariatatakariandiana, and just allow for this to be a cleansed, cleared, and purified space where I speak the truth and nothing but the truth. And that everyone within this space receiving now or in the forefront of the future can receive this without any influence, infiltration, or that their mantis being doesn't go into freak out. So we're just going to let your mantis being know that it is safe to receive this transmission. And it doesn't need to start directly coming into resistance of you receiving this, because once you witness something, it can no longer maintain life if you choose no longer to have it in your experience. So let's go into Mantis Tech and what it is, why it is here, and its agenda and its role in the experience. And to do that, we need to first understand the Mantis constellation and their role in what some would call the spiritual war. The Mantis beings are, they are a very balanced being. They are they are a being that, if you look at a mantis when they're on their feet, they wobble, right? They balance between, they wobble, they're very fragile animal and being, Dayakuyana, and they're so intelligent. There is information around how their eyes in consciousness work and how they perceive reality. And so they're from this three-dimensional realm of what a mantis is, you can receive a lot of information through doing a little bit of research on the mantis three-dimensional being. And these beings were basically became collateral in the war, and the war between the love and light agenda and the control and entrapment agenda. Neither of these expressions of agendas have the intention of allowing the human race to be free of entrapment. So even your love and light agendas, your Lyran beings, your Pleiadian beings, your Syrian beings, have an intention to create a earth that is of love, light, and peace. Now, how I can explain this so that I can also educate you as to why false light is not truth and doesn't allow for sovereignty is how it was explained to me. And I was shown this so that I could see my own false narratives. And what I was shown was I was taken back to the Syrian constellation of when I was a part of that creation point. And I was shown, if you grew up in a civilization where you were taught peace, harmony, love, slowness, connection, telepathy, all of these things that we see these Syrian beings using their multidimensional skills in this harmonious way, in this peaceful way, then you have grown up with a conditioned mind to know that this is the way we live. We only live this way. Anything outside of this is not how we live, and it's not right, or it's effectively wrong for how we are. Now, we can look at that as, yeah, but we all want love, light, peace, and calm and harmony. But what happens when a being is a sovereign being and they have anger, or they have an emotional response, or they have instability, as we are all sovereign of God's source creator? And so what happens is you have a conditioned expression of a civilization that effectively teaches those beings that it's not okay to have these other emotions. It's not okay to share these other feelings. It's not okay to have these other expressions of consciousness. Now, to be a truth seeker, a truth and unified being, you must meet yourself in light and dark. And so there are beautiful learnings, there are beautiful intentions, yet it is still one lens of polarity. And when you choose one lens of polarity, you bypass the other and you continue to swing between light and dark. And this is why the war exists, because we have a civilization that believes this is the only way, and another civilization that believes and wants this to be the only way. And so what happened for the mantis beings is that they were the in-betweeners. So there wasn't very many other races that were in between. There are small ones that I don't cognitively know their names for. I would have to go and channel, and it's really irrelevant. But there were beings that you would say were more balanced in the middle point. They were the connection beings. And so they ended up being used for both agendas. So you have the mantis beings that we use for the love and light agenda, and then you have the mantis beings that we use for the Draco reptilian agenda. And the ones that have been, this technology specifically that I'm talking about that exists within every bringer of change, it is specifically created to activate and stimulate the nervous system so that it becomes dysregulated, and you meet a point of fight, flight, freeze response, and you're unable to stabilize your energy frequency within your body. Now, I'll explain how that happens and how it works. But basically, with this technology, it's not even a technology, it's a being that's inside of your vessel. This this entrapment that this mantis civilization has gone through is they don't want to be entrapped or enslaved either. And that's the thing. They are a soft expression. They have amazing technology, but when it comes to the fight, they don't fight. They surrender. And they have been manipulated in many ways. And so it's very sad for these beings, but it also gives them an opportunity to evolve beyond their current state of being and move into a higher evolved consciousness expression. And so during the Lyran Wars, there was a developmental lab and there was many where different advanced beings were used as experiments, and their technologies were tracked and used as a way to, how do we use this technology for our agenda? And so the mantis beings became a very, very important tool. And because they have the ability with their organic matter to go unwitnessed, go unseen. They're not seen as most of our infiltration. When you feel Archon energy or AI, you're like, ugh. And dark matter consciousness or you have satanic energies, you can feel that. Your body starts to contract, purge, and there is a sinister density. This is not the way with the mantis being. They're very peaceful. They're very gentle, and you can't notice them until your vibrational frequency rises. And so these beings were entrapped into a contract where they have been placed within the vessels of the bringers of change as we could say it's also served, and I will speak into how it's served, but there has been a intentional, don't allow the vessel to rise its vibrational frequency, because as you rise your vibrational frequency, you start to remember and ground and anchor in new levels of light technology. So it's the perfect dysregulation. It's the perfect consciousness or technology or infringement on sovereignty that allows us, whilst my nervous system is dysregulated, I can't use my cognitive mind properly. I go into trauma responses around my human and childhood experience. I'm unable to stabilize my heart and how my vessel functions with these new frequencies, and I become disassociated from my body, because it's hard to be in a body that is in a fight, flight, freeze response, and when the nervous system is activated. So it's the perfect tool or weapon against the bringers of change. However, it also is helpful for some of us when we look at it that have extremely high vibrational consciousness, and we can't actually come into a body that is full of trauma and be stabilized with the highest level of our monadic self. So we can see that it only leaves the vessel at the time that we are able to become embodied in our higher frequency consciousness. So you will become aware of this when you're able to come into your higher monadic self, your higher galactic and unified expressions of your being, and it will start to allow that to come in to be merged with your circuitry system, and your vessel can maintain and hold it. So how did it get there, and what does it look like? Oh, they're so sweet. So as I say this, I'd love to invite you to Adia Tatakaria Tatakuyandiana, Mia Ashatakariana, Adia Tatakuria Tatakayandiana, Tatakuyana. Okay. As I explain this, I would love to invite you to feel through your own body and where your mantis being might be sitting. And at the end of this educational piece, I will have an offering that you can donate towards and go through releasing it. Now, it may have several layers and holds, depending how it's still serving you. And then you can just make it your friend, and you can start to realize that it doesn't really want to be within you either, but you've kind of hung out together for a long time. And so there's a bit of a best buddies kind of thing. Like, who would I be without you? I don't know if my body can function without you. You've served me kind of feeling. And so it can take some layering down of core beliefs that may have held this in, and also recognizing that this mantis being may be terrified to leave your frequency, because you've probably been a really lovely host. If you're watching these videos, it's because you are a unified expression here to help evolve the planet. So you're a being that is quite gentle, loving, and kind majority of the time, unless you're stuck in your trauma loop of your not self programming. So the mantis being may find that it needs a little bit of convincing and kindness to leave your vessel. So how does it's entered at the point of conception, where the skull and the hip bones are fused. So in the womb, when the skull and the hip bones are there, before the spine grows, it's implanted into the, I believe it's called the utero, and it's injected through light technology into the womb space, into the vessel. And then what happens is, because it's injected into the point, usually the head point is around, I think they call it the nape of the neck, that bumpy bit of your neck, that it grows with your spine. So it grows with you, and it has this very light, peaceful frequency, but a lot of, I guess you could say, I don't want to call them tentacles, I'm going to call them limbs. And they have, because they're not wires, it's like long, thin seaweed, very thin seaweed-like expressions that move through your vessel and your circuitry system. And the head of it is usually up somewhere in this part of your being, so it can affect and so it can meet your heart. The vibration that it emits can affect your pineal and your pituitary gland, as well as your thyroid. So this frequency that it emits is what it's contracted to do. It's contracted that when you reach a certain frequency, that it tones off a sound or a vibrational resonance that causes the nervous system to be activated and makes you unstable. And so as it's grown with you, since, grown with your vessel, it feels like you. It's very hard to go, oh, okay, actually I can sense this. This is not me. This is within my organic matter. But it's not a part of that which I am, or that which I've chosen to be or carry through sovereign free will and choice. And so, because it's grown with you, it's very tricky to release. It's very challenging to release, and it's also an organic living organism. So it's not like an AI intelligence that doesn't have a spark of light. This is a being that has is a life form. So you can't just pull it out. You'd be effectively, I'm going to use the word, murdering a being to create sovereignty within your body, and that's not aligned with God's will. It's how do we work in a way that we support all life forms. And so, because it is a living organism that has grown with the vessel, it requires time to move its consciousness particle by particle out of the vessel into its new location. And this can definitely take time. When I located mine, it took me 3 hours now I was not as advanced as what I am now, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was remembering as I was going, and how it has a choice of where it wants to be relocated to. So it needs to be broken from all of the contracts of enslavement that the Draco reptilians have placed over it, is the first need and requirement, because before it can maintain life within you if these contracts are released, because the contracts means that it's basically forced into its behavioral programming. And until the contract is released, it will do what it does. And you might notice this in your own life. There's a clicking. So it clicks in the ears, and it has this interesting click noise to like a bug, right? That will let you know that it's around, and you'll have this clicking in your head. So that is your mantis communicating with you, and effectively affecting your vibrational frequency at the same time. So when you release the contract that it has over your vessel, and it is allowed sovereign free will and choice, you can befriend it. And you can ask it to please stop affecting my nervous system, and that we're going to work together to give you a new life form that you can either return back to your original civilization, or you can return back to source and choose a new form of consciousness, or there are other possibilities. And this is what happened for me, was my mantis being did not want to leave me. It really liked me, and it took quite a lot of convincing. And I asked what it would need to leave my vessel, because this was not of my highest good. It does not work for me anymore, because I couldn't rise my frequency without it activating and causing a nervous system response in my body. And it's also not true for me to have multiple beings in my body. So I had a negotiation with it, and it asked to be transformed. And I think this is just the most beautiful thing. It asked to be transformed from its consciousness that was within me into a different dimensional plane of existence, and to be created into the symbology of the energetic resonance of a lotus flower. Now, I obviously had a giggle at that, because I was like, what reality am I living in? I'm never going to have to tell anyone this, am I? Like, who's going to believe me? Now, I know that there are many people that would believe me now, but I never thought that I would be speaking to these aspects of consciousness in a live forum. So I spent 3 hours moving particle by particle, ensuring that its life form stayed and remained, and transferred it out of my vessel into the shape, energy signature, and creation of a lotus flower. And it was very, very happy to live in that form of essence consciousness without a physical representation of itself, and to journey that experience. And so we need to release the conclusions of how to release something. We need to release the conclusions of how something affects us and how to transmute something, and to really open and expand our multidimensionality into what could be an opportunity to work with consciousness in a new way. The release of that allows for the nervous system to settle, and for the vibration to be able to release out of the programming of the reptilian brain that goes into fight, flight, freeze when high vibrations are reached in the body. So the reptilian brain has been programmed specifically to go, high frequencies are not safe. And so a lot of us are absolutely terrified of raising our frequency back into our source remembrance, because we're afraid we might combust. We're afraid that we might internally burn out. We're afraid that too much energy means I cannot maintain in this physical reality. And there's so many different interpretations of mind as to what activates this within the neurology. Now, if we meet those core beliefs, it's safe to move through higher frequencies and hold source light within this vessel. And it does take time to adjust. We've been programmed over many lifetimes. And the vessels that most of us are in is a 3-dimensional vessel that needs to be genetically modified into the 5th dimensional expression to hold that with more ease and grace. So it is a process. And what we're moving through together is extremely advanced, and it's also really amazing to recognize what you are moving through and to have a little bit more love and compassion for your body, because your body is full of so many things that you have absolutely no idea the amount of infiltration, genetic modifications, templates, devices, tracking devices, programs that have been tracking your energy signature, holograms, all of the different things that sit within your vessel. And the releasing of that takes, it doesn't have to take time. Thank you, corrected. That you can choose to burn through it all in one moment of attainment of source in returning to union, and that is a possible way, and you can choose that in any moment. Some of us have not chosen that, and they've done the step by step. And so when you do step by step, there is an awareness that you're going to be like, how much of this is there? Will this ever end? And it's okay to feel that, because there is layers upon layers upon layers of separation consciousness and different things that have been working to keep us in the state that we're in. But it does end, and your body can be free of all of this, and you can have a vessel that is able to hold your consciousness in this reality without any disruptions to your nervous system, your brain, to your inner reality. And it's a very peaceful experience. Although I will say right now that my vessel is under some intensification of the frequencies of the earth at the moment. And I am currently without a light body. So if I come visit you in your meditations and your ceremony, and your dreams, it's because my light body is not present. So I am on a journey to return the templates to the bringers of change with the consciousness of Thoth. So if you see either of us, or if you might receive my frequency is in the form of Ninasag or Isis, or even Aphrodite, there's a gift for you. So check with your own discernment if you would like to receive that back. All right. If you're feeling as though, if there's any questions on this MANTIS technology, this being, and how it has its effect, if you would like to receive the transmission to assist you in releasing it, you may not be able to release the entire being and its auric field in one receiving of this transmission. You may need up to 3, and to give it a period of time where you work through the beliefs that have come up, the shadow aspects that need to be transmuted in between, so that you can have this beautiful freedom of your nervous system. To be free of an activated nervous system is one of the most beautiful gifts in the human experience, because we have been so built to live in a state of trauma, and some of us don't even recognize how traumatized we are, and that we've had an activated nervous system our entire life. And then to find a state of peace and calm in the body, and to be able to live beyond the closed eyes meditative state in a state of receiving life flow through us without this, is just absolutely divine. So I have placed a link down in the description box. I know this is a live, so the router time can be a little interesting with YouTube. So if you're watching the replay, I'm It won't be, if you want to share this, just copy the link now so that you can share it with people, because it can take up to 24 hours for it to show up on my YouTube channel. If this is your first time watching, please like and subscribe. And their transmission specifically to assist with this technology release will be available from my time in Bali, which is the 19th of May 2024. You can send your donation to the donation link and an email of the transfer, and I can send you through that information. I do not have a website currently. I work with people base by base on source. Aligned discrepancy. I love some of the words that come through. They're not words that I would normally use. And the discernment of what is of the greatest contribution to all beings. It does not mean that you're not important. So if I don't get back to you, I deeply, deeply love you and appreciate you. Yet there is just one of me, and I need to ensure that my frequency and my being is being placed in exactly the right time point, juncture points, for me to stay on my highest path, which allows for the Earth's highest path to be met. You should turn on super thanks. I don't know what that means. You should turn on super thanks. You'll have to express what that means. If there are any questions and you want to place that in the comment box now, you can do that. I will be doing a live Q&A tomorrow in direct channel, so hopefully my light body's back. Will be beautiful. Channeling can be a little more challenging without all parts of me here and present. So tomorrow I will be doing a Q&A live. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask ineffable intelligence around the creation of the earth, Anunnaki, any consciousness, anything about trauma, anything about the human condition in general, I can see what is of the most aligned questions to answer, and I do that through energetic vibration. And I look forward to seeing you on that live if you have any curious questions, and any questions about me specifically and my journey as to why I'm here, what I've come to, how I've remembered, all of those pieces of multidimensionality. With that, I'm going to be checking out of my hotel room and going jet skiing. So I'm sending lots of love to you. Mwah. Thank you for tuning in.